How's it going, my people of pop culture? Thank you for joining me today for another special review. We reviewed episode 1, episode 2. Now we're almost halfway done with Disney Plus's new original series, The Acolyte.
Destiny is not decided for you by an anonymous force. If you want to pull the thread, it'll change everything.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you have not seen our previous reviews for the first 2 episodes, please go check them out. We got Mike doing those reviews. He killed it. He did an amazing job. But now we are on episode 3. And before we do get into episode 3, I did want to give a little recap on episode 2 just to kind of fill everybody in case, you're unfamiliar with the first 2 episodes. So let's get into that. In episode 2, we follow Osha and Master Soul as they try to clear Osha's name. She is obviously trying to catch the person who's been killing these Jedis, Master Andara from the first episode, and we come soon to find out that it is her twin sister from long ago who was presumed dead by the name of May. As Master Soul and his apprentices kind of close in on May, she does end up escaping because we do see Osha kind of protecting her, missing the shot on purpose as she's trying to escape, and she does successfully kill Torben, the Jedi, who is our latest victim in the show. As Osha, right before she misses the shot on purpose, we do kind of see a look on her face that is a little deceiving in my opinion, and I thought it was a nice touch to end the episode. It definitely leaves us with a little cliffhanger, and it leads us right into episode 3, which is what we're going to get into right now. So episode 3 was a little tricky for me. Before I kind of even explain further, I do want to make it known that the first 2 episodes of The Acolyte, I quite liked. I honestly thought it was a really nice contained story. It brought out the best in the Jedi, and with the little kind of scenes we get from our secret Sith, it kept me intrigued. I am aware of the outrage online with this show, and there are some decisions that I don't agree with whatsoever, but as a whole, I do really like this show so far. After the suspenseful and thrilling conclusion of episode 2, The Acolyte goes into a direction that I just don't understand why TV shows do this. This has nothing to do with it being Star Wars related or anything like that, but there was a show on Hulu by the name of A Murder at the End of the World that did this throughout the whole season, and it bothered me so bad, so maybe I'm just getting PTSD. But they basically take the hot momentum that they have with the previous episode, and we just go back in time. And that's what we're doing in this episode. We follow Osha and May when they were children, kind of how they grew up, how they get the Force, which is, a hot topic with Star Wars fans right now. But all that aside, I really don't think they needed this episode. They maybe could have done 10 minutes to it, but we already know what happens. We know that May starts a fire and she goes missing and we think she's dead. And from then on in, we are with Osha and May in the future with Master Soul in this whole debacle, but they just decide to make it a whole story and an entire episode of their upbringing, which really and truly wasn't needed. And clearly Star Wars fans agree with me for different reasons, but in all, I don't know why they just didn't use the momentum that they had after that last scene in the second episode, which I thought was pretty well done, and kind of continue it from there. They're trying to make us wait. I think it's a really lazy way to fill content, and I know I'm kind of sounding negative right now. We'll get to that in the cons, but on that note, let's get to the positives. What this episode and the 2 prior do very well is encapture the world of Star Wars. I definitely feel like I'm in the world of Star Wars, whether it's just more lightsabers being shown, whether it's the costumes, which are phenomenal. I really want to touch on that. This might be my favorite Jedi robe that we have gotten live action. I don't know what it is about it, but I think it's just so appealing to the eye, and I really hope we do get more stories in this kind of timeline of Star Wars. Prosthetic, practical effects, everything like that take shape in this show from what I can see, and what they use in the setting as well, just kind of that rocky landscape for the witches. It's pretty cool. It's definitely well thought out, and it really looks like I'm in the Star Wars universe. None of that I really have a problem with. It just mainly is kind of the story decisions, the storyboard, like why would they go back in time after those first two episodes? I don't even think they should have gone back in time at all. Acting, I do believe, is also kind of top notch. I know people were kind of upset with some of the actors and their knowledge of Star Wars prior, and I want to separate that. If you're a good actor, you're a good actor, and I believe that, you know, the performances in this show really do shine. And as far as the pros go, guys, that's probably all I have for you today. But before we do get into the cons, I do want to make it known that I do like this show. The first two episodes, I did not have a problem with at all. I actually thoroughly enjoyed them, and I really can't wait for episode 4 to come out. The suspense was suspenseful, the mystery is mysterious, and it definitely keeps me excited for future episodes coming out. That being said, let's get into the cons. So guys, getting into the cons here, I'm not going to touch on this as much as I wanted to because I did kind of go on a rant in the beginning of the video, but the going back in time stuff, just going to touch on it one more time. It wasn't necessary with this show. Why would you not keep striking while the iron's hot and proceed with this story that everyone's already interested in? Nobody really cared. I didn't care about watching how the fire started, how everyone thought that May died. I know that May's alive now, and I want to move on with it. It's a very common cliche with television shows nowadays, and it really does seem like how I said, because they wanted to fill space so badly, it really ended up biting them in the foot, because the decisions they make retconning-wise, some of it's unforgivable, if you catch the right Star Wars fan. What Star Wars established, back in episode 1 was Anakin. He is the only Jedi to basically get the Force. He does not have a father. He did it in kind of an immaculate conception, like Mother Mary, kind of poising him as the chosen one, as Jesus Christ. And that deep, profound aspect of Anakin's life really made him one of the most powerful Jedi. Like Dave Filoni says, Anakin Skywalker is the most powerful Jedi of all time. And what they do here is basically the same thing. There's no father involved. There's no male. It's anything. It's just the Force magically just flies into Osha and May, and they get the Force. So basically, in my eyes, are they as strong as Anakin? It seems that way. Do they have potential to be as strong as Anakin? It seems that way, when Anakin was the chosen one. And this is a huge, huge con to this show, because that's the last thing I wanted it to do. I don't want it to affect my viewing for the original trilogy, the prequels, and even the sequel trilogy. The sequel trilogy didn't do nearly as retconning as this episode really did. It devalues Anakin's origin story, and that's the last thing you want, because when you think of Star Wars, you think of very few characters. You think of Yoda, Anakin, Obi-Wan, Chewie, R2, 3PO, but this show doesn't have characters like that where you can just give them a superpower origin story and make them all powerful. It's weird. It seems like that's kind of what they're going towards in terms of avenue, and I don't want that. I just wanted a mystery suspense thriller that it is delivering on, but it's adding in and retconning a lot of what we as Star Wars fans know to be Star Wars, and that's not okay. If you're Disney, I really think that this is going to hurt them. Everybody was excited for this show, and if you look at all these reviews and everything like that, I'm being nice. I hope that episode 4 can kind of get back on the right track and at least keep us in this time frame, and continue the story that had me on the edge of my seat for the first 2 episodes, like I keep saying. But as far as the rating goes, guys, let's get into it. So as I'm rating this episode, I want to make it clear again, this does not in any way share any opinion with how I feel about the show as a whole. But with The Acolyte, episode 3 of the first season, I'm going to have to give this a 2 out of 5 stars, guys. I I can't go in much higher than that. It was really lazy just to start off with going back and doing the origin. It just wasn't necessary. I'm sorry. If you disagree with me, I completely respect your opinion. If you liked it, then I'm really happy you did. But it's lazy, and I make this show 7 episodes. I'll if I rewatch the show, I will not watch the 3rd episode because it has nothing really to do with the rest of the show to me. I want to know what's going on in the future. I want to know who that Sith is that we saw at the end of episode 2 or episode 1. I want to know who that is. There's a lot more to the show that you can dive into and get a lot from, but they're picking and choosing the wrong areas to navigate towards, and I can't forgive it for that. So for this, guys, 2 out of 5 stars.
She wants to kill 4 Jedi. Indara, Torben, Kelnaka, and you.
All right, everyone, thank you so much for watching the review for The Acolyte Season 1, Episode 3. We know that we are a little bit late on this show. We had some things come up, but we're going to get right back on track. Tune in this Wednesday, June 19th. There will be a review for Episode 4 the day of, and hopefully we can kind of keep that schedule steady. Anyways, thank you for watching again. Like, subscribe, comment. Guys, let's get this thing going. Let's go.